Chaz here with another to buy or not to buy. We're going to talk about new makeup. We are also going to do this look with Peacock Feathers from Micka Beauty Shop, and then also I'm going to use a single from Shine by SD. Both of these brands are doing new releases, and we're going to talk about them. If you're excited like me, give this video a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing if you like these kinds of videos. Let's go into the video. And also a dear friend sent me 2 candles for my birthday that I can't wait to use. These are from a brand called Anchored Northwest, which is made in Spokane, Washington. I used to live in Seattle. State of Washington is my favorite state. If I ever want to move, that is the state I would move to. And I'm going to turn this one on called Try a Little Harder, like try a little harder. And they have wood wicks, which I love. You know, I love having, I don't know, mulled wine in my hand with dimmed light, watching something when there's candle sort of crackling in the background, the woodwick candle. Finally, after using 20 matches, I managed to get this on. Beauties, these matches from Walmart, they don't work. I don't know what's going on with them. But this one kind of smells like, still like pumpkin. It's supposed to have orange peel, cinnamon, nutmeg, pumpkin, clove, black tea, and vanilla, all of which I absolutely love. Okay, we haven't done one of these to buy or not to buys in a while. It was very eye-opening for me doing a declutter video that is still in review because that video filming took 5 hours to do, and I'm still in the process of editing it to make it less than 5 hours. But what I realized there was that I have a lot of palettes. No human being needs that much makeup. One thing I want to do definitely going into 2024 is being more conscious of what I'm buying. I'm probably going to make another video talking about some of those things. So let's now focus on the to buy or not to buy. But I only wanted to say that to buy or not to buys is not really to look at everything with the I want to buy this eye. But I'm going to become much more frugal. It's still fun to talk about what's released though, so let's do it. Also, beauties, as I promised, this is what I'm wearing. Festive Pine from Clionadh. I mentioned that I'm going to do that in my Clionadh's unboxing. I did a video unboxing the 12-day advent calendar for nail lacquers from Clionadh. Love their nail lacquers. Okay, let's get started before this video gets insanely and unnecessarily long. The first thing I want to talk about, as you all know, I love Blend Bunny. I have almost everything they have launched, definitely on the eyeshadow front to date. And their release that released yesterday is Machina. And beauties, this palette kind of reminded me of this one from Beauty Bay, Sunset Horizons, which is actually one of my favorite palettes, but not a palette I use as often as I should because I feel like the color story of this palette was a little bit different. So I don't know if it was popular when it came out or not, and I picked it up in a super sale when it was kind of being fizzled out. But I kind of see similarities between the two color stories, and I consciously made the decision to not pick this palette up because I did a lot of shopping during Black Friday and I'm at a point of wanting to go on a no-buy. I'm also planning a no-buy for 2024. We'll get to the details of that in a separate video, but I'm kind of preparing myself for a no-buy. I want to use palettes and makeup that I already have. I also, as I mentioned, have pretty much everything that is released from Blend Bunny, and I'm pretty sure there are enough dupes in this palette and those palettes that kind of justifies not picking this up. The 2 palettes that they phased out, Primal and Surge, definitely has a lot of these colors. The next thing I want to talk about is Dia Varone Cosmetics Beauties. Dia Varone was one of my favorite palettes this year. I can't wait to see what comes out from the brand next. This brand started with one of the influencers who is very much into colorful, shifty, sparkly shades. And, you know, obviously she knows her stuff. So I'm following this brand. It seems that they have now launched 4 loose multichrome pigments and 1 loose multichrome flaky. So beauties, when I purchased the Moth and the Moon palette, I picked up the 3 flakies that launched with the palette because I picked up the whole bundle. And I have not even used those flakies. I'm generally not a huge flaky person. I actually don't really know how to use them. So maybe I should first learn how to use them. And then as far as loose pigments are concerned, I'm the insanely clumsy human being who's going to get loose pigments over everything. So loose pigments and me should not go together. But I'm excited to see her expand her brand. This is so exciting. Beauties, December 2023 bundle has launched from Sydney Grace. Again, another brand I'm so excited about. I have to confess though, I really controlled myself and I did not pick anything up from Sydney Grace's holiday sales, the Black Friday sales. If you all remember, they had the stocking filled with stuff, and I went on their website at least 4 times and added that stocking to cart and contemplated checking it out. Then I remembered that these types of releases that are more like gifts are much more attuned to common skin tones, colors that everybody likes, like neutral colors and so on. So if I'm looking for colors, I should never pick up a mystery bundle expecting I'm going to get super special, colorful shades in it, because majority of people wouldn't look for super special, colorful shades. So I use that excuse to keep myself away from buying. But this bundle, if you're interested in, is $31. And I can tell you all, that lipstick, it looks like a lipstick. So beautiful. So beautiful. Because I've talked about fragrances in the past, let me also mention that Kayali is coming up with a new fragrance. This is supposed to be in the floral family and is fruity floral, and they have shown lychee rose damascena. Is it damascena or is it like Damascus rose, and that is where it's sort of the name is coming from, and vanilla absolute. I like the smell of rose, I like the smell of vanilla, and I could see lychee. So exciting, but I absolutely do not need fragrances right now. I am a little bit of a fragrance hoarder, not as much as I am a makeup eyeshadow palette hoarder. Yeah, I'm gonna skip on this, but if I see it in Sephora and it says that it will be available in Sephora, it's actually saying it's available already at Sephora, I'm definitely going to test it and all of that. This has been known for a little bit, but I did not do one of these videos, so I haven't had a chance to talk about it, and that is the collaboration between Garfield and GlamLite. It seems like this collection is going to have quite a bit of things, including a palette, a handheld mirror, makeup bag, lip care duo, makeup sponge, etc., etc. None of the stuff in this collection is standing out to me as something I need. So the eyeshadow palette, removing that, lavender color is pretty neutral. I can probably dupe this just with my Luxie singles. Cheek and highlighter duo is interesting. I like the colors. Orange and red are not really colors that I have, but I also don't really use blushes that often. I actually want to put myself on a lip and blush no-buy in the next year, so yeah. And some of these other things I don't use. Honestly, beauties, the only thing that is kind of standing out to me is the eye mask. And I do have to confess, I'm a huge Garfield fan. I love cats. I also definitely love tabby cats. So, huge fan of Garfield. I just don't need. Let me get started. I'm going to use Painterly from MAC. I'm going to train myself to say no to as many things as I don't need. Patty Alonso has collabed with Sigma Beauty. I don't own any of these brushes from Sigma. I considered buying Sigma brushes. One of you all told me about the sale that was going on during Black Friday. And I went on the site and I added the eye brushes to cart. And then I was like, girl, you don't need eye brushes. I did the same thing with Refer. I have enough eye brushes. No buy all the way, beauties. No buy all the way. But if you don't, and if you're looking for good quality eye brushes, I've heard amazing things about Sigma. This collab is going to be $87, although this is not just eye brushes. It looks like just 3 of them are eye brushes. So keep that in mind, but it's always exciting to see collabs with influencers. Let's get started with the eye look. I decided to use this palette from Micka Beauty Shop for the matte colors because Micka has been doing a lot of stuff. They have a new palette coming up. We're going to quickly talk about it. They also have new single multichromes coming up. And I thought, I haven't used this palette enough times and it's such a beautiful palette. So we are going to use it for the mattes. Another thing is that I kind of wanted to do a contrasting look that I have not tried in the past. So let's get going. I'm going to use these brushes from Mckayla and GlamLite's Part 2 collection. And I am going to go into this color Pawn or Payon. Continuing with new makeup releases, Martin Cosmetics is releasing, or maybe they have already released, Nano Choin. If you all remember, they used to have, maybe they still have them, but they released these 9 pans of different colors. I'm actually not sure if there were 9 pans, maybe there were 6 pans. They released some other palettes under the name Choin earlier in the year, much earlier in the year. We're talking about like March, April timeframe, if not even before that were more colorful, and they are now expanding that into this purely neutral color. It kind of looks like it's just 9 matte shades, and I do not have a price. Clearly not my thing, so I'm going to move on. Some brands are already talking about Chinese New Year, and I can't understand that because we're not even through Christmas, but a lot of brands are already doing next year stuff. Because we're talking about Micka Beauty Shop, let me talk about their palette. So this is a 55 euro palette called Earth Wizards. This palette's launching December 15th, 6 p.m. CST. As a pre-order, pre-orders they say can take a month or longer, and these shades in the palette they've said are not going to have names. So the palette has 15 pans, 10 mattes, 5 multichromes. So those shimmers are multichromes. The thing about this palette that's a little surprising to me is that I actually sense a lot of dupe inside the palette. And I don't think the 55 euro price is justified for that. For example, the 2 purple shades, are they going to look that much different on your eyes? I mean, one is a little more cool toned, one has a little bit more red. And the 2 blues. Same with the 2 sort of ochre brownie colors. Yeah, if this palette was 20 euros, I'd be like, okay, I understand. But 55 euros is too much for that. But even in spite of that, for me right now, I need good reason for wanting to buy palettes, so I'm going to pass on this. Another thing is that I'm a little bit tired of pre-orders. I'm tired of pre-orders. I'm not going to pre-order anything. If you can't send it out to me, I'm not going to pre-order it because I'm not fond of pre-orders, beauties, and I think I might just start staying away from it. And I'll tell you why. With Micka Beauty Shop's Butterfly Kaleidoscope palette, I purchased it when it launched in end of June. I did not receive it until mid-September or mid to late September. And between when I ordered it and when I received it, they had a sale on that palette. So I could have essentially gotten the palette for cheaper and I would have probably received it at the same time. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to start staying away from purchasing palettes as soon as they launch. Okay, beauties, I'm now going to go with this one into Pedestal. I mean, judging by the fact that I am using the Micka Beauty Shop, you can already see I like this brand. And you know, this whole pre-order situation isn't unique to Micka Beauty Shop, but I'm not happy about the fact that brands make you wait so long to receive something. And I also don't know if I see value in not waiting. I can see that if you're a large channel and you're dropping reviews of palettes immediately as soon as they launch, I could see needing to have that palette immediately. That's kind of not what I do. This is my conspiracy theory section, but I kind of think brands that don't send PR might be sending to influencers earlier than they sent to other people, to bigger influencers, I mean, because somehow I receive some of the things so late that pretty much everybody has posted their videos about them when I receive them. Sometimes that brand has had additional releases when I receive some of my stuff. So yeah, I don't really have any incentive to want to buy things at launch anymore. I might do it with some brands that have had good reputation with sending things out fast, but not with all brands. There are enough brands out there to shop from. You don't need to have everything that's releasing. But now that we're talking about Micka Beauty Shop, let me also find their other release and talk about it quickly. They also released these, which are their new multichromes. They're also releasing on the 15th, 6 p.m. CST as a pre-order. It says the packages will be shipped 2 weeks from the order date. Let's talk about this one that also has a pre-order that is live already. And we already talked about this before. This actually became available a week ago, and I thought to myself I might skip. There's been a hollow misunderstanding from Touch of Glam. Yeah, you all remember we talked about them. It's going to have 3 Touch of Glam hollows, 2 creamy pigment mattes, 1 duochrome, 1 birthday style multi-shifter, and 3 sparkly diamond shifters. It's a 10-pan palette. It says that these 10 pans are limited edition pressed pigment palettes, 100% handcrafted. So this is available for $88 on touchofglambeauty.com, and then they say they will start shipping these out on January 12th. Yeah, pre-orders, beauties again. I don't think so. I'm gonna pass. I'm passing right now. If anything changes, I'll let you know. First of all, $88 for 10 pans. No. Just no. And then having to wait for it, absolutely not. I actually look forward to possibly seeing real good swatches of this and then figuring out if I have dupes of those. Another thing is, beauties, I have some holochromes, and I'm not really the biggest fan of them. I actually did make a video of one of the holochrome bundles that Touch of Glam had. I never posted that video, and now I'm wondering if I should, because I think those holochromes are still available, and I'm just not a big fan of holochromes. As far as Touch of Glam's holochromes are concerned, the colors were very close. Like, you could not really distinguish between them. And they were very expensive. If I remember correctly, they were like $18 to $20 something a shade. If you buy this palette and you love it, tell the rest of us. I like to know. Let's talk about this one, which is also something I did not talk about. And this is Terra Moon's winter collection. And you know what, beauties, although I talked about Terra Moon's in my video talking about the sales I'm interested in, I also decided to not pick anything up from Terra Moon's because I realized my last purchases from Terra Moon's I haven't used very much. I need to use them more often, really develop an opinion before I start buying more stuff. I have a lot of Terra Moon stuff, and yeah, I really need to use them more often. But this was exciting. I particularly was interested in the 3 shades that had neon effect. Quickly doing my lower lash line with this color, whatever's left on it, as I'm talking about these 2 new palettes that are dropping from Gloss Gods, friends. Yes, I have talked about the other two palettes in this collection from Gloss Gods in the past. So Gallon Moon and Gallon Mars. I'm pretty sure I have a video for Gallon Mars, dedicated video. And I have used Gallon Moon in TBONTB. Both are palettes that I like a lot. I'm now using this one. And I recommend it. I thought they were great palettes for the price, etc., etc. I also really like Gloss Gods overall. I have a lot of their stuff and a good number of their reviews in this channel. And they're adding two new palettes, Jupiter and Venus, to the collection. They're not calling that collection the first Gal collection. I think Venus is the one that has reds, and then Jupiter is the one that is more neutrally taupey kind of colors. Neither of those two palettes are my kind of color story, so I passed on both of them. Of the two, I would be more interested in Venus, but I am pretty sure I can dupe this palette with my existing collection of singles. As far as Jupiter is concerned, this palette doesn't look very shifty. It looks like it's mostly monochrome metals and mattes. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but just saying, because the uniqueness of Gallon Mars and Gallon Moon was that they were just so shifty. I don't have a price, but these have launched, so you should be able to see the price on their site. Also, beauties, I did not mention this earlier in the video, but for everything you can probably use someone's code, so don't forget to do that, because you shouldn't buy any of these full price. I was tagged on this, so let's talk about it. This is Give Me Glow's Mystic Garden. This palette looks pretty, but I can dupe this, and it doesn't look as unique for me, but it's beautiful. Another thing Give Me Glow should do is making these palettes magnetic. I don't think it is magnetic, but if you know that it is, tell us in the comments below. Let me quickly also talk about this one, which is the Melt collab with Bailey Sarian. And this is a beautiful collab. It was very difficult for me to say no to this, particularly the palette, because the palette looks so beautiful. So I was like, do I want the palette? Maybe I want the lipsticks, but I don't need lipsticks. And I did not have the best experience with the, well, first and last Melt palette that I have, which was their first collab with Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town. I did a look with it in one of my To Buy or Not to Buys in this channel, like I think 2 or 3 To Buy or Not to Buys ago. And I didn't really think it was that high quality. Part of it could be because I have extremely high quality makeup in my collection. So in comparison, it didn't seem as good. And I'm like, if I already have very high quality makeup, I don't need any more. So that is that. Not picking this up, but it looks very pretty. I particularly like the fact that the palette was all mattes. I really like that. Okay, let's continue with this look. What I wanted to do was something a little different. I already mentioned that. So I went into my Shine by SD collection, and this is the color that I want to use. This is Sweetie. It was part of their Divinity collection. I should say it is part of their Divinity collection because it's still available. A pinky magenta undertone and a gold reflect that goes into blue. I think you all are seeing just the gold, but from my angle I see blue. So this is so beautiful. And the other day I was talking to a friend about it and I realized I have not used this enough, so it's time. So let me quickly get my NYX's glitter primer, which is here. This is gonna go on this part of my lid. And then I'm gonna go into this shade. Let me see if I can show you any of the shifts. Unfortunately, you still can't see the blue. It's unfortunate. Okay, I'm really liking this. The green shift in the eyeshadow in Sweetie kind of blends with the green and making it look so beautiful. The reason I wanted to use Shine by SD today is because they are having a release. This might have already released. Let me see. This is a collab with GlamLite. Actually, it's releasing tomorrow, and it is called Forest Hues and Mystic Dreams. It is very pretty. I have not decided if I'm going to pick this up, to be honest. I do feel like I have a lot of these shades, but Shine by SD is a very, very unique brand. You're not going to see very similar shades to what they have in other brands. A lot of times you really can't tell what the shade looks like in reality just by looking at the photos. So me thinking that I have a lot of these shades actually might be a very wrong understanding. These shades might be super, super unique, and what looks like in the photo might be very different from what it's going to look like on my skin or even close up. So I can't promise I'm not going to pick this up. Of everything we talked about today, this is the one thing I'm very interested in. I actually don't follow GlamLite. I don't know a whole lot about her, but it's always exciting to see collabs. One thing I noticed again in this palette is that there are no names on the palette. Maybe they're on the back of the palette, but the shades do have names. So when you look at the swatches, they are named. So yeah, I am excited to see more about this palette. I might get lured into picking it up. I'm trying to find the price for you all. So it seems like you can buy this palette as singles or as a bundle of 6 or 12. Singles are going to be around $19 each. Bundle of 6 is $110 and a bundle of 12 is $230. With the code GlamLite, and I'm sure there are other codes you can use, you can get 10% off. The palette also is sold separately for $11. Yeah. So it means that if you want to buy all the colors and the palette, it's going to be $241. That is excluding shipping and taxes. That is an extremely high price point. Now, if you get 10% off, you're going to get $24-ish off, but that might be offset by the price of shipping. So you be the judge of whether this is worth for you. That price point for me is very high. But that is the thing with Shine by SD. The prices are usually more than what you could get in other brands, but then, as I mentioned, their singles are extremely unique. At the moment, I don't think I have that much money to just spend on a palette, but this is very, very beautiful. Yeah, congratulations to her, and let me now put a lipstick. I'll be right back. Okay, beauties, I put this old melted matte color from Too Faced called Cinnamon Bear on my lips. I don't think this is available anymore, but you never know. They might bring it back for the holiday season. Thank you so much, beauties, for being here with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, tell me in the comments below that you enjoyed it. Subscribe, give thumbs up, etc. I would love to hear from you on what are you excited about picking up. I love you all. Have an amazing day, and until next time, bye.